Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2478. Today we're going to be talking motor oil lubricants. We're going to have some fun. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in beautiful Houston, Texas, with a very special guest by the name of Mark Beatty. Mark, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have it in gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Man, I'm ready. All I got to say is buckle up. Let's have some fun.
All right, we will. Now, as we start, I always ask this question. What's one little thing, Mark, that people may not know about you?
That's such a crazy question. I thought about that for a while. I was thinking about that. So I'm gonna color outside the automotive and racing world and say most people don't know that I'm a certified personal trainer.
Really?
Now you laugh at that because you look at me and I'm like a 62-year-old guy. I didn't always look like this.
You're lucky to be 62. A lot of the world never makes it to that point. So, count your blessings, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm on the right side of the daisies. That's for darn sure and stuff. But yeah, so I love everything about training and training people and helping people and things like that. That's really why I jumped into that deal is to actually help people and stuff. So
okay, well I like that. Well, let me ask you this since we're on this topic. What's the number one obstacle people have to start working out and taking care of themselves?
Everybody, I guess, is different. I mean, I think we all struggle, and I know I do profusely with diet. It's like every day you wake up and you want to do the right thing, but the stress of life or the stress of a job or the stress of whatever, right. You get partway through your day and all of a sudden that piece of chocolate or whatever the case may be, a pizza sounds so good and you're just like going, man, I'm so mentally exhausted from everything else. I don't care. I'm just gonna drink a beer. I'm just gonna eat a piece of pizza and stuff. Yeah. So, I think a lot of people, life is so full of pressure that it kind of derails it a little bit. And then the other thing is sometimes, you just run into those people that they just honestly have some physical issues and so if they start seeing things that they can't do, that really starts to play on them, right? It's like, well, I can't do this, so therefore this doesn't make any sense. So I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this, and they kind of talk themselves out of things, as to where when you're training them or working with them, when we spot those things, it's just like, no, but we'll find another way to accomplish that goal. Don't let it get you down, but it does. We're all only human and stuff, and we have a tendency of beating ourselves up, and so it's just trying to keep your diet right and keeping your mind right.
Okay, well.
Give yourself a break.
Good. Give yourself a break, yeah. And as Nike says, just do it. Damn it, just do it, right?
It's good for them, but, for some of us, it's like I said, that kind of leads to some of the problems because some people, physically or whatever, they can't. They can't do it and stuff. And so then you start feeling inferior and so, but yeah, that's it.
Years ago, I had a trainer and I was swimming in the mornings and working out. She was really great. And she said something to me that's always resonated. She said, Mark, excuses are lies we tell ourselves. And I've always stuck with that. So when there's something that I know I should do and I can't get over it and I come up with a reason/excuse, CC always comes to mind. That's a lie I'm telling myself. So there's your little tidbit of knowledge there this morning from Cars.
There you go.
Yeah, very good.
Nice. A little insight from you. So that's good. That's fun to hear.
Well, it's good. I've learned a few things after talking to 2,500 folks. So you'd hope so. Yeah. At least I'm listening. Let me give you an introduction here. Mark Beatty is brand marketing director for Redline Synthetic Oil. His career includes time at V-Gains in Denver, Colorado as the business development director for V's family of racing companies, including Winberg, Crankshaft, GRP Connecting Rods, Gibtec Pistons, Fineline Graphics, and Black Diamond Media Productions. Mark has been a race car guy since high school. He worked at Bandimere Performance. They're the same Bandimere as the Speedway, and they used to own 3 speed shops in Denver as well. He was a counter guy at their big stores. In Alameda, raced his first car. It was a 63.5 Falcon Sprint, if I've got that right. Shared a super comp dragster and worked with Joe Shalkowski on his NHRA B-ED. They ran for comp. And after that, Mark announced at Bandimere Speedway for almost 9 years, which led to announcing opportunities at GRP and a few other tracks. So he's been talking for a long time. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a word from our sponsors, so give them a little love, and we'll be right back. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? Then let me introduce you to Capitalize Your Finances. It's an online course designed to empower you with the knowledge and tools for mastering your money. This course will help you lay out the ins and outs of budgeting, the importance of emergency funds, investing strategies, and how to plan for a secure retirement. All this presented by financial planner Chris Paniotu. Chris has developed this course to help you effectively navigate your world of finance with confidence. Stop stressing about money and start taking control. Enroll in Capitalize Your Finance online course today and pave your way to financial success. To learn more, go to capitalizepodcast.com/courses, or better yet, go to the Cars Yeah website, show notes page for today's show, and click on the link under Capitalize Your Finances. You'll be glad you did. Do it today. For several years now, you've heard me talk about Linkage Magazine. I've been a subscriber since the start. Their talented and creative team brings you a spectacular publication and website that shares the automotive passion from a worldwide perspective. Linkage is about driving, restoring, collecting, and first-hand experience at collector car auctions and more. They bring you real-world values plus rational, experienced opinions on the current markets. They cover the automotive world and the people who share our passions. And Linkage Magazine has grown, mailing you 6 issues annually. Join me on this journey with Linkage. They're geared for the automotive life. You can subscribe at linkagemag.com. Hey, guess what? Some of you regular listeners will remember back in 2019, I created 10, 11 shows called Cars Yeah TV, where I went to some fabulous locations of past Cars Yeah guests, and we did a TV show about it. Well, they're up on the Cars Yeah YouTube channel. So go check it out at YouTube. Just type in Cars Yeah, and the shows will be there for you to enjoy. I hope you have fun watching. So, Mark, we are back. So I'd love to talk a little bit more, obviously a lot more about Redline Synthetic Oil, because this is a brand that I've known of being a car guy forever. And I always think of it as this specialty brand versus all the generic, I'll call them generic, the brands that we all see on the shelves that everybody knows the names of. But I want to get back a little bit to this career you had announcing and running cars and things first. How did you get into the car world?
You know, it's crazy because I was always a sports kid growing up, and I remember one Saturday morning, you know, at that time I was in Denver, Colorado, and I remember opening up the newspaper and I saw an ad for Bandimere Speedway, and it was just a regular Saturday bracket race, you know, back when the, you know, newspapers were a great way to do things. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go up there. So I drove up to Bandimere Speedway, and I'm just kind of walking through the pits, and I bumped into a guy, didn't know him at all. His name was Jack Fico, and he had a bracket car, and ironically enough, he had a 63.5 Ford Falcon. So cool. you can see why I was influenced to buy that car. And Jack just took me under his wings, and it's just the old story. It's like, you know, first he just let me put water in the radiator, you know, and then he'd let me put gas in the gas tank, and it just developed. And over the years, you know, I just raced with Jack nonstop, and it just developed that love. You know, my dad wasn't a big car guy, and I don't have any brothers, I don't have any uncles and stuff like that. So it really just started with me just one day going to a racetrack, and it just stuck. Just really fortunate. It just turned out to be a great life. So very lucky.
Well, you think about Falcons. I was just at a great collection last weekend. A local guy here has an insane collection of American muscle cars. And we're talking about all the best of the best from the 60s. You had a Falcon there. I think it was a Falcon 500. Do I have that right? Did they make a Falcon 500? I mean, I'm not sure. I might have my numbers, but I thought it was. But the point being is he had cars. You think of the Falcon as kind of being a little bit of a lower end family car, but it was the basis for the Mustang. And you saw a lot of those things get out on the track. So what had you done to your Falcon?
Well, it was crazy, because those cars came from the factory. At least mine did. It was a 260 V8 4-speed car, and it came from the factory with a tack up on the dash, and stuff.
Yeah,
and
like
so,
the Mustangs.
But you're right. It's like by today's standards, it's pretty tough to look at that as being, a high performance factory car, and stuff. And so, through the years, I had made a friend, a guy by the name of Don Knight, and Don Knight was in the Denver area, and he used to race jet cars, and he had a chassis shop. So I just same type of deal. After school, I'd go hang out at Don Knight's shop and just hang around and pick up trash and stuff like that. So next thing we know, the Falcon's in there, and we're putting a roll cage in it, and we're back half in the car and all that other type of stuff. And so as time went on, just kind of ended up being a plenty trick little bracket car. I just had so much fun with it. Was never any good at it, just to be honest with you.
When you're having fun, that's all that matters.
4-speed bracket cars, talk about there are people out there that can be consistent with that, but I quickly learned, and I am not the driver material. So I was never good at it, but I sure had fun.
Well, that's the most important thing. I always tell people is as long as you're enjoying yourself, and it sounds like that was a great way to get out there and meet great people.
Oh, heck yeah.
That brings us into the importance, if you're driving, racing, especially racing, that you have the right synthetics and oils and lubricants and all the different things that Redline. And Redline's one of those brands in my mind that has always been aligned with performance. That's what I think of when I think of Redline. And I talk to people and they say, well, could I use that on my street car? I've got a sports car, an M3 or Porsche. And I go, of course. So let's talk a little bit about Redline. I'd love for you to get into the different types of products you sell, because most people think Redline oil, but you have a lot more than that, right?
We do. Redline was started back in 1979, and ironically enough, the very first product that Redline ever produced was two-stroke motorcycle racing oil. And so the whole thing was launched with that. And our original chemist, Roy Howell, and Roy is still with us to this day.
The same guy, really?
Yeah, still at the plant. Roy just had the opportunity, had some friends, and so the two-stroke racing oil was the first thing that we've launched. And, since then, we've grown to, well over 105, 106 products. Some of the ones that most people recognize is Water Wetter, because Water Wetter is available. Yeah, there's a lot of box stores, and it's kind of crazy. We positioned Water Wetter and almost made it kind of a brand of its own. So a lot of folks, they have to do a double take to even realize that Water Wetter is a Redline product, and stuff. It's one of the OGs, and then we have our things like our SI1, fuel system cleaner, which is our number one seller. It's our number one seller is a fuel system cleaner.
Tell me a little bit about what that does, because, I have cars that we've had for a long time. We buy cars new and keep them for 20 years, maybe longer.
Yep.
And one of the things that you think about cars, and especially with the fuels these days, is keeping the fuel injection systems clean and the systems clean. Is that what that product does?
It is. It helps keep everything from the tank to the lines to the pumps and obviously the injectors themselves clean and contaminant free. It's so vitally important. As injectors get old and get dirty, plugging is a problem, but contamination also does is contamination actually can change the size of the orifice in the injector. And so if you have a contaminated system for a long time, you're actually manipulating or changing that injector, which ultimately just causes them to wear out. And as time goes on, the injectors are not inexpensive anymore stuff. So yeah, it's important to keep all that stuff clean and taken care of. And in today's environment, with everything being direct port injection, we discovered that at that point in time, nothing's really cleaning like the throttle body plate or the inside of the intake manifold or any of the runners, right? Because the injector is going straight into the combustion chamber. So from the piston around is well taken care of with an additive that you pour in the gas tank. So earlier this year, we launched a whole new line. It's called Redline Service Chemicals. We're just getting some traction with that, but we've developed, we call it a total intake system cleaner, and we have a delivery mechanism unlike anything else on the market to where you actually introduce it right before the throttle body. And so some of the Ford products struggle with carbon buildup on the top side of the intake valves, Volkswagen products and stuff like basically anything with direct port injection, but we have done extensive testing, and our total intake system cleaner is a game changer in that world. So we're working diligently and trying to get that placed in box stores and things like that. Right now, we kind of have it slated to where it's we call it professional use only. So it's only available, the service only available at shops and things like that. So we're tweaking and we're adjusting, but that'll be a game changer too. And so it's just another one of those products where, like you said, you think about Redline, you think about motor oil, and we're coloring so far outside the lines, of oil. Oil is in our blood. That's who we are.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate right now. Is if you're a nitromethane fan, either the NHRA Top Fuel Funny Car, there's a lot of nostalgia things happening. The Funny Car Chaos series and things like that. Our product, our Nitro 70, is without a doubt is the go-to oil for the majority of the teams out there. I kind of chuckle sometimes. It's like, I don't necessarily care what decal is on the side of some of those cars because I know what's in the pan, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't say that to be arrogant in any way, shape, or form. It simply goes back to the guys like Roy and Bill and the team that's back behind that have developed a product that is unlike anything else. I tell all the nitro teams, it's like, this isn't just a thicker 60 weight race. This is very, very specific blended for nitromethane, and they did a great job, and we're just in a really good spot. So it's fun to see, with me having roots in drag racing, it's fun to see a lot of my heroes and stuff like that, be on, I started this movement a while back, Team Redline Oil. And so it's just really fun to have all that. But, we've developed a complete line of coolant based off of the water wetter. We figured out the success of water wetter, so we've turned that into, now you can buy it in an antifreeze, so folks that live in a place where Mother Nature doesn't play nice, we have water wetter and antifreeze now. It's, we have it designed specifically for power sports applications. We got it all.
Yeah, you do. And the other part of this, I think, is even more important to those of us who aren't racing, is the products can be used on everyday cars. So you don't have to be a drag racer to go to Redline and consider using these products in your street cars, right?
Every one of our oil products is all PAO and ester based, which means that it is a true full synthetic. We don't start with any petroleum base and then add enough chemicals to it to be labeled as synthetic, right? That's something that happened in the United States, a handful of years back, is the fact that that the United States allowed oil companies to blend in things and then all of a sudden call themselves full synthetic. Well, if you go to other parts of the world, you can't do that. If you have a petroleum-based product, I don't care what you add to it, you cannot label yourself a full synthetic oil. The only way you can do that is if you're PAO and ester-based. And so every product we do is PAO and ester based. So yes, you're gonna pay more for it. And no, you know what? Maybe we're not the right oil for somebody's grocery getter, right? But if you have a love for your car and you want to it, maybe you put a tune-up in it, maybe you've accessorized here, you're accessorized there, and you want something better. That's where we fit in.
The great thing on your website too is like I have an E46, an 05 M3, and you can go on your website. I was playing around with it last night and go to my specific car and then learn that, okay, specific viscosities for BMW N cars. You've got the 1060 motor oil or the D4 AFT, and then all the other products that would work in a car like mine. And there's plenty of us that are driving specialty, I'll call them sports cars, specialty vehicles that you have products for. I just wanted to let people know, because sometimes I talk to friends who maybe aren't as deep a car guy as you and me, and they say, well, I thought that was just for racing. I go, oh, no, not at all. Yeah, and these are guys that have Camaros and Mustangs and BMW M cars and all that. So lots and lots of options, easy to find for you listeners, redlineoil.com. Just go and check it out. You mentioned that inspirational person in your life that got you into racing earlier. I want to talk a little bit, though, about a challenge, because the challenge question here on Cars Yeah is really more about the learning lesson more than the actual experience. But I'd love for you to share one with us that you can look back now and say, well, I'm kind of glad I had to go through that. I learned a lot from it.
That digs deep. That's really personal. And so
it's just you and me, Mark. Two Marks talking about motor oil. No one's listening, so don't worry about it.
We're not going to share this with anybody. To the heart of the matter. When I graduated high school, one of the things that I wanted to do is I always wanted to own my own business. That's what I wanted to do. So I started out very young. Being an entrepreneur, I started a sign and graphic company in Denver, Colorado, and just through the friend network, honestly, just being at the right place at the right time, we quickly became a sign and graphic company for the Nuggets, the Avalanche, the Broncos. If you've ever seen the Frontier airplane, the animals on the tail of the Frontier airplanes, I had enough of an aviation background through some connections that we actually developed that program for Frontier. So we put all those animals, on the tails of the planes,
cool.
And so that led me to, an introduction and relationship with V Gaines. V Gaines, ran NHRA Pro Stock forever and had a whole host of companies and stuff like that. So V and I got together, after a few years, and he bought the sign shop from me and kind of kept me on to oversee, a lot of his businesses. He's really big in liquor distribution and a trucking company, and had 18, 19, we called them profit centers at the time. So, it really taught me a lot about business. And so I was together with V, one form or another, for 30 plus years. Then this opportunity presented itself at Redline. And so it was a huge decision for me to walk away from the relationship and the friendship and family and everybody that I left in Denver and grab my wife Cindy and say, hey, we're going to move to Houston. And so you move to Houston and take the job, and Redline Oil is owned by Phillips 66. And so I've spent the majority of my career at or near, let's call it the food chain, top of the food chain, kind of directing, kind of guiding, and you come into a company like Phillips 66, it's just full of incredibly smart people. And all of a sudden, the next day I wake up and I am at the bottom of the food chain.
Oh, no.
And so talk about a challenge. It's one of those deals where it's like if you're an entrepreneur out there or you're a business owner out there, I got to be honest with you, I wish I would have lived this experience a long time ago and then had the chance to move back.
To do it backward. Okay. Yeah, the other way around.
Only because it's just interesting, is that when you're on top of the food chain and you're making this business decision and you're making that decision and that one, it affects people in a lot of different ways. And I don't know that you always think about how it affects the people down the totem pole and stuff. And so I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about it's hard to not second guess parts in your life and go, oh man, I wish I would have made this decision different back then or that decision back then. But it honestly is. I mean, it's man, you wanna dig deep in me. That's about as personal and challenging as it gets, because that cuts straight to the core. And so I just encourage people, all the time, just keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, because what you do, what you say, how you do it, how you say it, words have meaning, and so just be respectful.
Perfect advice. Well, it's you never know when you make a big, bold change, and change is hard for a lot of people. And interesting perspective of the direction you went from one to the other, which is usually the opposite. But no doubt, the great thing is for you, Mark, is it's always best to be not the smartest guy in the room. That's what I've heard. So you've surrounded yourself with very sharp people. They can teach you things. So if I just gave you a little paradigm shift there. I hope that will work for you going forward.
Yeah. Okay, so I had to put a check in the mail. Just tell me how much I owe you for the advice.
No worries. No. For you, my friend, free advice today. Yeah.
This is a case of oil for my BMW.
Well, okay, there you go. Yeah. Well, I'll watch the mailbox. That would be really cool. And some fuel cleaner too, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's talk about a special vehicle in your life. I mentioned in the introduction that Falcon that you raced, but is there one special vehicle that you've had that really stands out? And if so, could you share a story about that ride?
Yeah, my 66 Volkswagen 18-window bus.
Oh, you had one of those.
Oh my gosh. I went through that Volkswagen phase. I worked at a Volkswagen specialty shop in Colorado called Randy's Stuff.
Randy's Stuff.
Okay. Randy's Stuff. And so it was, I'd built a couple of Type 1s and, always wanted a Type 3, stuff like that. But I stumbled on a bus. And so I grabbed this bus, and this was a long time ago. And obviously the bus deal was really, really popular, like in Southern California and places like that. But,
sure.
Colorado, it hadn't hit yet. So I kind of made friends with the guys. There's a shop out there called the Bus Boys. So I kind of made friends with those. Next thing we know, we're slamming this bus, and it's slammed. And we put the Safari windows in it, and I built a 2332 for it. Put all the motor in it that I can, and stuff like that. Yeah. And I just love it. It made it into VW Trends magazine. As a feature vehicle in the magazine. And,
wow.
Yeah, I was living pretty high on the hog, back in those days. You think it's pretty cool. So, but I love my bus.
Those are great. Yeah, and some of the prices they're getting these days, my eyes roll. And if you've ever driven one that wasn't modified like yours, you'd go, why? Because I had a friend with one, and we drove up to Mammoth Mountain from San Diego, which is typically a 7.5 to 8 hour drive. I think it took us 12 hours to get there. It's like going up Cajon grade. It's like, are we even moving? It's not a lot of power, so they need a little modification for sure.
The other one I had, and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to say, if you ever get a chance, look it up. Look up a 1954 Pininfarina Nash.
Okay.
Of course, you know who the Pininfarina guys are.
Yeah.
The car designers or whatever. But they did a Nash, and I did the same thing. I tubbed it at a narrow 9-inch Ford, had a small block Chevrolet in it, and just slammed it to the ground. And so anyway, someday we could talk more about that car, but that's pretty close to my VW bus.
Yeah. Well, boy. Yeah, that's very interesting car. Very cool. So as if I haven't crawled into your skull enough today, Mark, I'm going to do it again here. I play car psychologist. If you were reincarnated as a vehicle, now this isn't what you want to be, so that'd be way too easy. What would you be and why?
I'd be a flatbed truck.
Okay, you knew the answer to that.
Seriously, I don't even need to be reincarnate. It's just I think it's who I am right now.
And why is that?
Because I like to carry the load.
Okay.
And I like to carry people, and I like to get them where they hope to be or they hope to go.
Yeah.
I think it's to my core. My friend network, my acquaintance network or whatever is larger than life. I tell people all the time, next to my wife and my kids and my grandkids, my friend network is the most incredible thing I have in my life. And I like to help, and I like to support them, and I like to take care of them, because when push comes to shove, they would all do the exact same thing for me. And at the end of the day, honestly, what else do we all have?
Right.
We're living in such a crazy world that who knows what tomorrow brings. But I do, when it comes to my friend network, I know what tomorrow, the next day, I know what it brings. And so, to me, it's just like, man, I want to be a flatbed truck, because I want to make sure that I'm always helping and carrying people.
Well, those are great signs of a leader versus just a manager. So you got it figured out, Mark. And by this point in your life, you mentioned being a grandfather, which is spectacular. Yeah, it's time to have it figured out. So it sounds like you do. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. How about a great book? Is there a book you could share with us?
All right. This almost goes back to the very first question, something that nobody knows about me.
Okay.
I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. I'm a parrot head. I'm a parrot head to the end. And so the greatest book I ever read, in my opinion, is A Pirate Looks at 40, or his book Tales from Margaritaville. It's just, yeah. I mean, on the business side of things, yes, I've read all the books like Who Moved My Cheese and all that other type of stuff.
Sure.
And I love that stuff. I really do. But when I'm taking a plane trip, I've got one of my Jimmy Buffett books that I've probably already read 15 times, and I don't care. It's like I read it for the first time and stuff like that. So yeah, I love it.
All right. How about the ultimate drive? I'm a bit of an enabler, so I'm going to park any car that you would like in your garage. Don't worry about the price because I'm going to buy it. You can take anybody with you, including somebody from the past that's no longer with us, which opens up a world of opportunities. So what does the ultimate drive look like for you?
Oh my gosh. Is it a person or the car or both?
Well, let's start with the car. Well, it depends on you. Okay. I say if you want to have a good conversation, you probably don't want to be in a Cobra. So,
no doubt. Okay, oh my word. All right, I'm going to stick with where I just left off.
Okay.
Who would it be?
Jimmy Buffett.
Oh my gosh, would I like to take a road trip with Jimmy Buffett?
Okay.
And you know what I'd like to
your
do
bus?
in a VW.
Yeah.
In a VW bus, because like you said, if it hasn't been modified, they're really, really, really slow.
Yeah.
And so we'd have a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Why rush it?
I like it. Well, there you go. I should have figured that out before I asked the question after the last one. So that sounds like fun to me. Absolutely. Jimmy Buffett in a VW bus heading to Margaritaville. There we go.
I'm lucky enough to where, like I said before, I in the racing world, I know all my heroes. I talked to Steve Torrance, I talked to Cruz Petragon, I talked to Mike Salinas, Snake, McCullough, so it's like when I go in the car world, it's kind of like, oh, well, I already talked to all those guys, but I never talked to Jimmy Buffett, so I think that'd be the one.
I think it sounds like a fun ride. Well, you've taken us on a fun ride today, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me. Could you leave us with some parting words of wisdom or inspiration?
Probably my favorite saying that I tell people all the time is real knows real.
Say that again?
Real knows real.
Oh, okay.
So just simply be who you are, be authentic. The line, fake it till you make it, is not a life motto. It's a horrible way to do things. Just be real, be authentic, and treat people the right way. So real knows real.
Real knows real. I love it. I haven't heard that one before, so that's pretty cool. How can people learn more about Redline Synthetic Oil?
Well, the best thing to do is, like you said before, you could check us out on redlineoil.com. But more important, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. And why I say that is because when you and I were talking about products beforehand and things like that, it's like every time I talk about product, let's face it, I sound like a commercial, right? It's my job.
Yeah.
But if you follow us on Facebook, look at all the people that are out there on Team Redline Oil and reach out to them. Reach out to the racer. If you're a road racer, reach out to James Clay and his road racing clan. If you're a drag racer, take your pick. If you're a drifter, reach out to Kevin at Renspec. Just follow Team Redline Oil racers and ask them. They're not on the team because they get paid. I don't pay racers, to do anything or whatever stuff. So they're there for the right reasons. And so, yeah, that's the best way I know.
Awesome. Great. Easy to find, listeners, redlineoil.com. Check them out. And if you've ever had a question about using their products, I'm sure you could contact them and they'll help you out with the right product for your vehicle. I want to do a shout out to our mutual friend, Annette Bauer. She's the one who introduced me to Mark. Annette was a guest last month on the show. If you missed my talk with her, you got to go back and listen to it because she is one powerhouse. Mark, thank you for being so generous today with your time, for letting me dig into your skull a little bit. Until you and I talk again, my friend, I'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Mark.
This was fun. 20, 50, or 100 years from now, will there be a workforce to care for the collector vehicles we love? With auto shop programs disappearing across the country, it's a question we enthusiasts have to ask. That's why I support the RPM Foundation, which exists to ensure that the critical skills necessary to preserve and restore these vehicles aren't lost to time. One of the many ways RPM, which is short for Restoration, Preservation, and Mentorship, is accomplishing this goal is through workforce development initiatives. The RPM apprenticeship program enables the next generation of artisans to earn a living while they learn the craft of restoring and preserving these vehicles directly from industry professionals. The Endangered Skills Program documents the process of masters training future craftspeople on a variety of critical skills in danger of being lost forever. For more information on how the RPM Foundation is driving the future of the collector vehicle skills trade, visit RPM Foundation today. They're one of the charities of choice here on Cars Yeah!
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah! Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah!